All right, so the coin we are covering today is Helium, which is currently trading down along with the rest of the market to $15.42 per token with a market cap of just $1.4 billion, putting it just outside of the top 50 on CoinMarketCap in the number 67th spot. Which, if you are bullish on Helium and the powerful mesh network they are rapidly building out, then this puts it in potentially a great target spot for a buying opportunity, but obviously not financial advice. This is, crypto after all. So we're playing with magic internet money at the end of the day. So who knows? But there's been a lot of very bullish developments come out lately for the project. One being that as of this Tuesday, August 10th, we have 117,377 nodes in operation across the Helium network, which is pretty incredible growth for this project in such a short amount of time. We also had a very successful halving event at the beginning of the month that has cut the daily issuance down from 5 million to 2.5 million tokens per day, which at the time was not super ideal and a bit controversial for the miners, since the price was basically cut in half from its highs of around $20 back in the big run up in May. But it appears with the huge news that came out this week of the $111 million token sale, the price has recovered a bit, obviously down a bit today. But fingers crossed, with this amount of capital flowing into the ecosystem, Helium and the project should be hopefully able to keep growing into the future. The participants in the token sale are some of the biggest brains and smartest investors in the space. The guys that really are, can see around corners, and everything they seemingly touch turns to gold. This is Andreessen Horowitz, Alameda, and Multicoin were the three biggest participants. Andreessen Horowitz, obviously, Mark Andreessen, kind of like the inventor of the browser, one of the biggest brains and investors in Silicon Valley, one of the first investors in Coinbase, and has been hugely impactful in just funding this entire ecosystem. And then, of course, Alameda, Sam Bankman-Fried, he's the 28-year-old Deca billionaire who owns Alameda, owns FTX Exchange, and is just probably the smartest investor and probably biggest brain and mind that we have in the space, arguably. But yeah, when those two entities and companies or people are investing in something with that large amount of capital, you really have to keep an eye on, or at least put Helium on your radar, because there's been issues with the miners. Obviously, Helium doesn't create the miners themselves. They rely on third parties to create those for them, which has created some issues and backlogs, to say the least. I think right now the best case for people trying to get Helium miners, you have to wait 8 to 12 months for those Helium miners to be produced and then shipped to you. A lot of that does have to do with like supply chain issues, which affects everything in the world. But there's a lot of issues that could be solved with a whole lot of capital, with like this big raise. But it's one of those projects, or one of the few projects in the space, in the crypto space, that really is going after a big idea that is an actual use case. I mean, it's like a revolutionary use case that, if they're able to, do what they're, trying to do, is capable of improving, the way the entire world operates. And I don't think that's even being, hyperbolic or outlandish. But this is, building a peer-to-peer 5G wireless network has not been attempted. It's a very audacious goal, and something that's incredibly hard to do, and is very capital intensive. And I think they went about it initially with the approach of relying on the network to build it out themselves. And I think they're probably realizing now that they do need more capital into the ecosystem to kind of help build the network out. Because 117,000 nodes in operation this quickly is pretty incredible. I mean, you take a look at the map. It's not quite the Sprint or T-Mobile, red map where the whole country is covered. And obviously these miners are very big in North America, Europe, and they're starting to get some traction in like India. There's some miner creators that are, or whatever you would call them, miner producers that are being started up in India, that because you have to deal with, different regulatory issues like the FCC, and it's different country by country, so they all have to be made kind of country specific, which does also create issues. But yeah, you're starting to see some of those miners pop up in some very remote places, which is kind of their end goal here, is just filling up that Helium map with more and more nodes and hotspots. But yeah, it's a very interesting project that for a valuation of $1.4 billion, or market cap of $1.4 billion, and only barely outside of, 67th, that's outside the top 50 for sure. Is one that could, if they're able to hit on all their goals and get the traction, or continue to get the traction that they have so far, and build this thing out, then they can move up. I think this is hard to predict, and obviously this isn't financial advice, but I think they could easily be a top 25 project in the future. But yeah, it's a project that's going after a real need and real issue in the world, with a huge market. Going after some mega players like the AT&Ts and the Sprints and the T-Mobiles of the world. So very, very audacious. But yeah, I think it was an interesting project before this week, but now that Alameda and Andreessen Horowitz are getting behind it this big, is something that everyone should be thinking about, and be looking into. But obviously not financial advice. But yeah, it's at this price right here, $15.42. We see this as an undervalued opportunity. But again, yeah, do your own research, check it out. But we're very, very bullish on Helium and their network. But anyway, let us know your predictions on Helium, where you think the price is going from here, what you think of the project, what you think of the new investment. If you have a Helium miner, let us know how that's going for you. If the daily mining rewards have been terrible since the halving, or if they've been okay. But yeah, let us know how that's been going for you, and let us know of any other projects that are on your radar that you'd like us to check out, because that's a way we find a lot of these kind of hidden gems, is from our network and from our audience. But yeah, if you're listening on YouTube, give a like and subscribe on iTunes or the podcast. Download, give us a review if you could. And then yeah, check out the link to BlockFi down below if you want to sign up there. I think you get I think it's like $250 worth of, or up to $250 worth of free Bitcoin when you sign up. But check out the details. We love BlockFi. Yeah, just a great way to kind of compound those Satoshis, and we think it's probably the most secure player out there in the lending space, with also a lot of backing and behind it. But anyway, I am completely rambling. Try to keep these things under 5 minutes, and I am not doing a good job today. We are at 8 minutes now. I'm going to hit stop recording and let you guys get back to your lives. All right, bye-bye.